Okay. Well, how this all started is I kind of had the idea, but I knew I couldn't really do it by myself, so I actually called Jordan at like 12, like 11:30.
It was midnight,
yeah, it was
after the vigil.
Midnight. Yeah. And we just got started talking. We were talking for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned you were going to bring it up to your parents, and it started from there. And pretty much how we got it kickstarted was Mr. Feaster, Mr. Joseph Feaster. He helped us so much. We couldn't have done this without him, honestly. And in terms of contacting people that aren't kids of our generation, politicians and state representatives, he was there for us tremendously, so we could actually contact others.
Yeah, because he had the experience being the former town manager, so it was a lot of help from him. And also he's a close family friend of mine, so it was actually both of us combined that made this happen, because she had the vision and I had some connections to get us there. So yeah.
What are you hoping the outcome for today will be?
I'm just hoping to have a lot of people come and just be present. And even if people can't make it, a lot of people have been reaching out to me. All I really like is the support and how much people have been able to reach out to me and Jordan and say thank you. So I just want people to come and just stay aware and make sure you're aware in what's going on in the town, aware in what's going on online, organizations donate, petitions to sign, things like that. Just
seeing all this support is very amazing. It's crazy how it took a time like this to realize how many people have your back. Because once I posted on Facebook and everything, all these people were like, oh, what can I donate? Oh, tell me if you need help. But I'm like, wow, you just don't realize the connections you have and all these people that actually care a lot about you and your community. So this was really great. And seeing how Stoughton can actually come together.
Yeah, my grandfather, oh my gosh, my grandfather's brother lives in North Carolina and he's a minister, and I told him about all of this, and he donated $50 to $100 to me, and he didn't even at this point we've raised over $300. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it that we don't use is going to go to donations of our choice we're going to donate to, but it's insane the amount of money. Within 3 days, maybe minimum, we had $200 already in my Cash App, and I was like, what is going on? And we are like, where's the money gonna go? And we made a wonderful banner, and we've been able to get so much water,
many waters,
and some coolers and ice and hand sanitizer, masks, all that. So it's just been amazing.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Gallon and I graduated from Stoughton High School in the class of 2017. I currently attend Salem State University where I'm pursuing a degree in education. I want to first thank you all for coming out to this march against systematic racism and for supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. Holding events like these are so important to sparking necessary change in our community. It begins healthy dialogue around racial issues, it builds a support system for Black women, men, and youth, but most importantly it shows that as a town we stand united against racism. The work to begin change starts with being present, listening to Black voices and understanding them, and showing up for your Black community. The work is online, spreading awareness, educating yourself through books, podcasts, and films. The work is in voting polls. We have a chance to have a say in the people who represent us and the policies that are put in place, and we better use it. The work starts where we are right now, but it doesn't end here. There are still petitions that need to be signed. There are still marches that need to be had because we still need justice, and this is the only very start of our fight. Yesterday, one of George Floyd's murders were released on bail. And let's not forget it has been 90 days and counting that Breonna Taylor's murderer roamed the world free of consequences. So we will continue to shout their names. I urge you to not stop fighting, to not stop learning, to not stop listening, and to not stop using your voice. I would now like to welcome Shaniqua Polk, a Stoughton resident, coach at Stoughton High School, and member of Grace Church. She will be leading us in prayer and also singing a song for us.
Thanks, Christina, and thank you, Jordan, and the rest of the team that's given me an opportunity to be here. And our community, thank you guys for coming out. As Christina said, my name's Shaniqua. A lot of people know me as Cha, and this is by far one of the most devastating times that I've lived through. But as a Christian, as a believer and a follower of Jesus Christ, who selflessly died representing my selfishness so that I could know and understand the love of God, I have hope. I have hope that we can and we will overcome. It may be tough, it may be confusing, you may already be tired and angry or too hurt to feel like continuing, but the Bible gives me hope when it challenges me in Galatians 6 that says, let's not get tired of doing what is good. At the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. Would you guys pray with me? God, I'm incredibly thankful to live in a community that has people who care about the rest of the community, about making others feel loved and cared for, about building each other up. I pray for those who are feeling tired of being oppressed. I pray that you would give them strength to continue the conversations that create change. I pray for those who are doing the work to create change, whether that's in the laws, that is signing petitions, that is donating their finances, their time, whatever it is that they're doing to create change within and among our community and our families. I pray that you would give them endurance to continue going forward. God, I pray that people would find hope, that if we continue to do good, we can overcome. I pray all of this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. One day, when glory comes, it will be yours, it will be yours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. One day, when glory comes, it will be ours. It will be yours. One day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. Now the war is not over. Victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish line. And when it's all done, we'll cry glory. Oh, glory. We'll cry glory. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Amare Harrison, class of 2018 of SHS and currently attending Boston University.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Amare Harrison. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. But I, along with Jordan Motley, aided in organizing this event. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for the overwhelming support and help that we have received in planning this event. We have received a plethora of donations and verbal support, and it's amazing to really see this community coming together in a time that we need it the most. I also want to extend a huge thank you to Mr. Joseph Feaster, who really helped us, Jordan and I, every step along the way to truly make this happen. I just want to take a second to applaud his efforts to help us make this event happen. There is a change that must occur, not just in our community, but in the system as a whole. We have seen demonstrations, protests, marches, vigils across the country. These demonstrations have even exceeded the United States borders. We've seen demonstrations in Australia, South Korea, Germany, Scotland, Sweden, Denmark, Senegal, Japan, France, Canada, Brazil, and I have not even named all of the countries involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. The sheer amount of countries, the notion that all 50 states have participated in demonstrations indicates that this goes far beyond a racial issue. This is a humanitarian issue. How can we, as humans, condone actions such as these against others simply because of the color of their skin? For centuries, my people, my friends, my peers, my family have been subjected to blatant and systemic racism, from slavery to lynchings to the idiosyncrasies that make up our daily lives. Racism comes in many forms, but no matter how minor, that does not take away from the fact that we do not feel safe in a country that consistently promises life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to all of its citizens. In 2013, I experienced my first experience with racism, not towards me, but towards my brother, who was 8 years old at the time. We were in a candy shop in Maine, and my brother was standing slightly in front of the doorway inside of the shop. A white woman came in, she looked at my brother, and she said, "Move out of the way, you little expletive." My brother, at 8 years old, exhausted by a day trip that me, my mother, my family, and our counterparts, a white family, had taken. The white family, mind you, they had a son around my brother's age. When that white lady walked in, she looked at him and she smiled. My brother, at 8 years old, had experienced a form of racism he did not understand why or even what was going on. My brother, at 8 years old, at the hands of an individual who deems a person as lesser because of the color of their skin. Racism is so deeply seated and ingrained in an individual to the point where they just see color. Mind you, my brother's skin color is darker than mine. I am afraid for my brothers. I am afraid for them to grow up and face the harsh realities of being a black man in America. This is why I urge you, do not stop. Do not stop fighting. Do not stop speaking up. In fact, scream from the top of your lungs in this fight against systemic racism in the police system. Something must change. We cannot just keep participating in this vicious cycle, watching our friends, our people getting killed in the streets, getting outraged, and then letting the flame die out until the next time your brother or your cousin or that schoolmate you sat next to in the 5th grade is killed for merely existing. We will fight, and we will fight until there is a change. No one deserves to feel alone in a country that is supposedly their own. If you would not swap in the position of a black male or female lying in the street or being tackled by 5 or more police officers, how can you say that it's okay and that there are only a few bad apples? Sign petitions, donate to organizations, do whatever you can. Just don't stop being mad about this cause. Because Black lives matter. We matter, and we need you to hear us, to see us, and to listen to us. I have a list of organizations to donate to, petitions to sign. I have even culminated a list of African American therapists and psychiatrists in the area, because mental health is so taboo in African American and ethnic families, and it is time for this to change as well. I have been thinking, at length at whether or not I want to share this experience, but it is important to me and to everyone to highlight the disproportionate views of minorities in terms of mental health in the healthcare professional system and doctors. I myself found myself in a hospital for reasons related to my mental health. That next day, mind you, I didn't sleep. I found myself with my IV half out of my body. My heart monitor had turned off. I had no phone in my room and no charger for my phone. Alone, 19 years old, in a hospital where it seemed that no one cared to me. Mind you, my nurse was right at the nursing station, laughing and joking with her colleagues, seeing her other patients, and every time I pressed the call button, it was 1 more second. Or she'll come in a second. You know, I know nurses, they have a hard job. It is hard to deal with all of your patients, and there are problematic patients, but see, what they did not know is that I work in a hospital. I work in the nursing department. I work at the nursing station. I know how the system is supposed to work. I know how you are supposed to treat your patients. I did not exist to them. And the funniest part of it all is I remember my nurse. I remember her name. It was Megan. I remember that she had a thick white headband on. She was brunette, and it almost looked like she was a little auburn in there. But you know what? Does she remember me? I conclude my statement urging each and every one of you to help us make a change. This change begins here in Stoughton, but I cannot do this alone. This starts with you, and with you, and with you. So be the change that this country needs. For my brothers, for my friends, and for yours. For everyone. Thank you.
Next, we have Jordan Motley, former graduate of Stoughton High School, class of 2018, former Fruition Scholars Vice President, and currently attends University of Miami in Florida.
Can you guys hear me? A little bit? Okay. Wanted to check. So good afternoon. I'm Jordan Motley, Stoughton High School, class of 2018 graduate, and also a student at the University of Miami in Florida. When my friend Amare Harrison contacted me expressing her concern for our community on the local level after last week's vigil, I knew and I heard her passion for this march, and I knew that I had to help her bring this vision to life. When we think about what's going on in the world today, we see all this whirlwind of emotion. We feel these whirlwinds of emotions after witnessing the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. Their deaths not only brought attention to police brutalizing black bodies all over the nation, but to the systemic racism that we Black people have to deal with on a daily basis. These tragedies, along with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in which Black people and people of color are disproportionately dying and getting infected at horrible rates, has once again exposed the racism that America's history, deep-rooted history, has been built upon. This racism is not just what is filmed for the world to see. It stems all the way back 400 years. And even from the small microaggressions as we as Black people on the daily have to deal with, calling us pretty for a Black girl, Oreo, surprised that we are articulate, making us question the beautiful melanated skin that God has blessed us with. My skin is not a weapon. My skin is not a threat. Racial profiling is real. So real that in downtown Miami, me and my friends were in a mall parking garage leaving when a police car speeds up behind us, tells us to get out the car and put our hands up because there was a car accident nearby, and the car that they were happening to be looking for was the exact car that we were driving. As we got out the car, we saw him reach for his gun, and I thought these would be the last moments of either mine or my friends' lives. I thank God that before this situation escalated, the police officer got a message on his walkie-talkie saying the license plate that they were looking for. Would this happen to me and my friends if it weren't for the color of our skin? We always bring attention to the incidents that are caught on camera. But like my incident, how many were not recorded? It's sad to say that being a Black person in America, we can't be handcuffed and put into a police car unless we are dead, George Floyd. We can't go jogging, Ahmaud Arbery. We can't relax in the comfort of our own homes, Breonna Taylor or Tatiana Jefferson. We can't sell CDs, Alton Sterling. We can't walk to the corner store, Mike Brown. We can't play cops and robbers, Tamir Rice, 12-year-old boy. We can't go to church, Charleston 9. We can't walk home with Skittles, Trayvon Martin. We can't get a normal traffic ticket, Sandra Bland. We can't lawfully carry a weapon, Philando Castillo. We can't breathe, Eric Gardner. We can't live, Freddie Gray. We're tired. Tired of making hashtags. Tired of trying to convince us that our Black lives matters too. Tired of dying. Are you tired yet? Now multiply that by 10, and you've just scratched the surface of what it feels like living 400 years in these shoes. Thank you all for taking the time to take action, protest. I've been seeing it on social media. Donate, sign petitions. But do not stop now, because to us as a Black community, we can't stop. This never stops. This is our daily lives. Thank you for listening, because change is coming. Today, the mayor of Boston declared that systemic racism is a public health issue. We want this change. We want this change to continue. It starts right here on the local level, right here in Stoughton. And I hope you love the amazing array of speakers we have here today. Thank you.
would now like to introduce Roland Million, a Stoughton High School alumni, assistant teacher at Hanson Elementary School, and a girls basketball coach at Milton High School.
How you guys doing? Maybe we had it wrong. Maybe my generation had it wrong by not speaking out on situations that we have dealt with through our entire life. And that's the problem. Most people think that we didn't deal with these situations because they didn't hear it from their friends. My name is Roland Million. I graduated from Stoughton in 2004. Played basketball there. We are all gathered here because we all want the same thing, and that's to be treated equally, looked on as an individual, judged by our character and not the color of our skin. At an early age, my father told me how I needed to act like all parents, but there was something different about his telling. I remember him telling me at 6 years old that I had to act a certain way because I was black. And he would tell me this daily. Some people have the luxury of not talking to their kids about race. You can just tell them, respect people, and it will all work out in the end. That's not the case when you're black. He would tell me some people would assume certain things about me just because I was black. He would tell me about words that were geared towards our culture to make us feel low and make us feel less than human. And in third grade, I was subjected to that when someone called me the N-word. I was sitting in her seat, kind of like Rosa Parks, but I wasn't thinking. I was sitting in her seat, and she said to me, "Get up, that's my seat." And I said, "Well, no one has seats. You just sit whichever way place is open." And she said, "Just like a stupid N-word." This was a 9-year-old that told me this. So obviously they heard something around their house that allowed them to be comfortable to say this. This was something that shocked me. And the result was I told the teacher, and they made her miss recess for one day. When you are a kid, that works out. Oh, well, she missed recess. As I got older, I realized just how much the consequence didn't match the action. I'd like every white male in here to look at a black male near them. When you look at them, understand that that black male is 2.5 times likely to be killed than you are. I'd like every single white female to look at an African American female that's next to them. Understand that they are 1.5 times likely to be killed than you are. And that just isn't fair. That's why we are fighting here today. In 4th grade, my teacher wanted to teach me a lesson. He wanted me to understand on how to fight for what you believe in. We talked about Harriet Tubman. And he looked at me and he said that Harriet Tubman deserved to be a slave. I argued with him and I told him that's just not true. She's young and she can't just be a slave because she's black. And he said it doesn't matter. Those are the rules. White people are much more superior than black people. And I still argued with him, and then he finally told me, "Mr. Million, sit down, please." I sat down, and then he looked at me and he said, "Roland, what the hell are you doing?" And I said, "I'm sitting down because you told me to." And he said, "Don't you ever sit down. If you don't believe something is right, and you want to fight for something that is right in a just cause, you don't ever sit down and you continue to let your voice be heard no matter what someone says to you." I've always looked at him as an example, and I hope that I can continue that example that he led for me throughout my life. I am not a threat because of my skin. But what I am a threat to is inequality. What I am a threat to is racism, just like all of you. I have probably been called and averaged the N-word 10 times a year in my lifetime. I'm hoping and praying that we let our voice be heard so this can stop. So let's continue to be a threat to racism, continue to be a threat to inequality. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Emmanuel White, current SHS student and social media chair of Fruition Scholars.
DJ Henry, Justin Howell, Sandra Bland, Richard Perkins, Betty Jones, Nathaniel Pickett, Leroy Browning, Tiara Thomas, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. The names go on and on and on. And I'm gonna be honest, I was so scared to do this today. I know it might sound a little selfish, but I don't wanna be a reason for one of these protests. I don't wanna be one of the people that has to get shot and killed by one of these cops that don't believe that I am equal to them. What affects one directly affects all indirectly. Martin Luther King Jr. These people had loved ones. These people had lives. These people had a place in this world, but their deaths sparked a fire in us, and it will not be turned out again. And it wasn't only the police's fault. It was a systemic racism built by our country's founders. One of my teachers said, "The system isn't broken. It was built this way." That really resonated with me, and for the longest, I've thought that maybe it was my fault. Maybe I had something to do with this, but no. It was from the very beginning. As soon as we wrote that Declaration of Independence, the cards were stacked against us. And for too long, I've been judged by the color of my skin. For too long, I've been deathly afraid to get pulled over with my family in the car. For too long, I have walked these streets not knowing if I will get beat. And I'm done. It's time for us to make a change, and it's time for us to rise up above this. I also wrote a poem that represents exactly how I'm feeling, and it's called Silence. I've been silenced. I've been forced to walk these streets, not knowing if I will get beat, not knowing if my voice is heard. I'm begging for someone to hear, so I scream every word. I'm silenced. Punished by the phobias that surround me. I know it's me, I want to be free, but every day there's a choice, like a rock, a hard place in me. A choice between my love and my history, a choice that cripples and cracks in me, a choice that could divide my family, a choice that makes me believe that only part of me that can represent all of me. I'm getting silenced. How can I feel pride when I have to keep my head down? How can I feel safe when I have to keep my hands up? How can I escape the phobias that surround me? How do I escape the hauntings of my childhood? All the bad memories are starting to overtake the good. If only you listen to me and stop labeling me as misunderstood. I'm done being silent. Thank you.
Next, we have Tanisha Civil, a Stoughton resident, currently an associate probation officer with the Massachusetts Probation Services, commissioner for the Eastern Regional Commission on the Status of Women, and also a candidate for state representative for 6 Norfolk District.
Good afternoon, everyone. Forgive me if I'm nervous. As stated, my name is Tanisha Civil, and I'm running for a state representative for the town of Stoughton, Canton, and Avon. I am so excited to be here. To tell you the truth, I wrote things down. I didn't sleep last night because I didn't know what I wanted to tell you, but I'm just going to speak from my heart. For many years, I've been silent because I thought of me being ridiculed, making me seem as an angry black woman as America portrays women, especially black women in America. I've been silent, and I'm disheartened by my silence. I'm hurt because I've never spoken up when things needed to be spoke about. I am so proud to be amongst you all, I'm so happy to be with you all, march with you all, because you are the voice of today and tomorrow. I stand with you, I see you, and I'm for you. It's not easy being a black woman in this world. No, it's not. But I made a decision. I made a decision to be the voice for the voiceless, to be a voice for the muted, and to be the voice for the next generation. My son, he's 8 years old and he goes to Dar Elementary School. I'm his voice for tomorrow. And I'm a voice for you all. I ask you and I urge you to continue to fight, to continue to protest. I ask you again to vote, because if we don't vote, we will be here again tomorrow, next year, the year after that. We need to set policies to hold people accountable for their action. We need to denounce racism. We need to denounce systematic racism. We need to denounce all discrimination, regardless of your color, religion, and your sex. We need to, or we will be back here marching again. And I'm tired. I do not want to march again. I want to be with you all. I want to take you all to the State House so that you can put your voice together and say, we need a change. So that's why I made a decision to run for state representative for the 6th Norfolk District. After 29 years, I'll be the first woman running. And I'm going to be running for you all. I'm standing here, I'm filled with a lot of emotions. I don't want to cry, but sometimes you have to cry in order for you to be heard. I love Stoughton. I love you all. I love my neighbors, but we need to do this together. We cannot do it alone. That's why I made a decision when I was younger to go to get my master's in criminal justice and leadership. Because you know what? If you can't beat the system, you got to join it. And this is part of us joining it right now, because our voices are being heard. As Jordan stated, the mayor of Boston declared racism, systematic racism, as a public health crisis. It is. It's mentally draining. I went to a high school when I had the privilege going to Dover-Sherborne Regional High School, and that's a METCO program. For all who are not familiar with the METCO program, it's when inner city kids go to suburban schools to get a good education. Racism is not only about cops killing innocent black men, but it's in our health system, it's in our education system, it's everywhere. And that's why we gotta fight. My counselor in high school told me, Tanisha, I don't think you're gonna get into a university. Apply to community colleges. I didn't say anything. I spoke to my mom, I prayed about it. I said I'm gonna prove her wrong. I purposely applied to all universities. Years later, I have a master's in criminal justice from Northeastern University. We have to denounce racism. We have to. We have to love thy neighbor. We have to hold each other accountable for our actions. We need to educate. We need to educate one another, our families. Illicit biases, we need to educate. We need to have more teachers of color in our public school system. We are one, Stoughton. Stoughton, we are one. And together we stand. Divided we fall. We are here together. Excuse me if I'm emotional. I'm a big crybaby. But I stand before you. I'm asking you for September 1st. Go and vote. Because if you don't vote, we're gonna be back here again. Get to know who your leaders are. Get to know who your state representatives are. Get to know who your government officials are. Find out if they're fighting for issues that are impacting you and your community. Find out who they are. Are they here just for votes, or are they here to hear your cry? I want you all to march with me to go to the State House so people can hear your voices. It's not about me, it's about you. It's about each and every one of us here, because we all are impacted in each and every different way. So I stand before you. I'm running for state representative for the town of Stoughton, Avon, and Canton. Spread the word like a wildflower. Spread the word. Help me. I cannot do this alone. I need you. I need each and every one of you to use your voice September 1st to go and vote. Thank you.
Next, we have Rachel Goldstein, SHS graduate of class of 2019 and currently attending NYU.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Goldstein. I'm honored to participate in the continuation of a movement that fights for the equality of Black lives, that fights to dismantle the system of oppression in which we live, and I am grateful for each and every one of you who came out here to do the same. First, I want to reiterate a point that struck me from Wednesday's protest. Black lives matter, but matter is the absolute minimum. Black lives are worthy. Black lives are precious. Black lives are essential. And when I say Black lives, I mean all Black lives. Black lives matter. The slogan that we are so familiar with today was founded by 3 Black women, Alicia Garza, Patrice Coolers, and Opal Tometi. Black women have been and always will be the backbone of our community. So, just as we have shown up for George Floyd, we must continue to show up for Breonna Taylor, whose murderers have yet to be charged. We must continue to show up for the tens of thousands of missing Black women and girls who deserve justice too. We must uplift our Black girls and show them, not just tell them, show them that they are beautiful, valued, and loved. This month of June is also Pride Month. And as a Black woman, as well as a member of the LGBTQ+ community, I shouldn't feel like I have to pick a struggle. I would like to say that Black people of all sexualities, all gender identities should feel accepted and welcomed. And I want to especially acknowledge Black trans women specifically, who face violence on all fronts, yet continue to show up. They continue to show up, and we have to be there for them like they are there for all of us. And we must protect our Black, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender youth. Accept them, celebrate them, love them. This movement is for them too. To our disabled Black community, the Black community that struggles with mental health, with physical disabilities, with chronic illnesses, thank you for fighting alongside us however you can. It's important to eliminate physical barriers and make sure everybody can participate, to make sure everybody is as healthy as they can be. We can and will do better. We need to do better. To the Black people of faith who are Jewish, like myself, and Muslim, your voices and prayers do not go unheard, and I know that they will not go unanswered. Black Lives Matter is for everybody Black. We are fighting for systemic change that is long overdue. We are fighting for the end of police brutality, the end of racism, and we are in this fight for the long haul. The only way that we can make the change happen, the only way that we can win, is by standing together. Thank you.
Next, we have Deborah Roberts, a Stoughton resident, and she was also elected on Tuesday as a select person for the town of Stoughton. So let's give a big round of applause.
Yay! We've heard a lot of voices today, but I want to take a moment to say Black Lives Matter. And if not now, then when? 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 So now, I wanted to get that off and go to my speech. Hello, my name is Deborah Roberts. It's believed that I am the first African American to be elected select person in the town of Stoughton. The election was just a few days ago, June 9th. I'm happy to be here. I'm also the chair of the Stoughton Diversity and Inclusion Organization. Now, the Stoughton Diversity and Inclusion Organization's mission is to bring together people with diverse backgrounds in a peaceful manner to mitigate discrimination. On the other hand, the Board of Selectmen is the governing body here in Stoughton. We set the policy. It's so very important to know who you put in office. As a select person, I will be able to shape and influence policy. This policy will reflect the needs of the Stoughton community. Because you voted for me, I want to let Stoughton know what the issues and concerns are. That is why it's important for you to vote. Your vote is your voice. Voting is a powerful voice. Now, some people vote because they like to maintain the status quo. Some people vote because they want to see change. That's the movement I represent. That's the change I represent, that movement. Hold tight. Others don't vote because maybe they believe their vote doesn't matter. But I'm here to tell you, your vote is your voice. My parents and grandparents taught me at a very young age while I was growing up in St. Louis, Missouri. Now that's right outside of Ferguson, Missouri, if you know what I'm saying. They said, get involved. Don't sit on the sidelines. Get involved. I've had leadership roles all through my life. But now, what's going on now? What's going on today? Some groups are using the injustice done to George Floyd for their own special means and interests. This specifically means various groups are doing things like banning the movie Gone with the Wind because it has slavery connotations. Another example is changing the name of Faneuil Hall. Another example of demonstrators are tearing down Christopher Columbus statues and Confederate statues with Southern influence and slavery implications. And they want to ban or defund the police departments. As you can hear, these are very complex issues we the people are trying to address within this legal system and this political system. That's why it's important that your voice be heard. Your vote is your voice. Your voice is important. Your vote is important. That's how I got in office, is because I was viewed as an agent of change. Continue to vote because your vote is your voice. What I ask you to do is get involved in your community in some type of activity or program and to vote. Thank you very much.
Now we would want to ask you guys to take a second to have a moment of silence. So you were just standing in silence for only a minute. Imagine sitting on the ground, being pushed on the ground with a knee on your neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That was what George Floyd had for the last 8 minutes and 46 seconds of his life. Now, I'm going to introduce Amarri for the closing remarks.
Before I say all my thanks, I just want to say one more thing. For the list of resources that I have, please do not hesitate me to contact me for them. You can come up to me afterwards, I'll give you my email, and it's no problem at all. And just one more thing. Next time you hear someone say all lives matter, after you give them a piece of your mind, make sure you educate them, because you know what? Yes, all lives do matter, but that does not take away from the fact that Black lives have never mattered in America. So I'm going to give out my thanks. If I fail to mention anyone by name, it's because of my brain, not my heart, okay? So I want to first and foremost thank my family and Jordan's family for making this all happen. We could not have done this without you. And again, Joseph Feaster, former town manager, he was everything in making this happen. And I cannot thank him enough for everything. Chief McNamara and the Stoughton Police Department and Lieutenant Bonnie, who really helped me make this so seamless. All elected officials in attendance, Deborah Roberts, thank you to our speakers, Tanisha Civil, Christina Gallon, Emmanuel, Rachel Goldstein, Jordan Motley, and me. I want to thank Bob O'Regan and Representative Bill Galvin, who could not be here. He could have been here yesterday, but unfortunately the rain had to rain on our parade, quite literally. I want to thank SMAC for covering this march and all other news outlets if they are in attendance. I want to thank each and every one of you, the people who have been DMing me and texting me and calling me consistently throughout the week that I've been planning this. See, this started with a little idea in the little brain of a little girl, and it's amazing to see this happen, to see each and every one of you standing in front of me and seeing my vision come to fruition. And I cannot thank each and every one of you enough, and I will say it until I am blue in the face. Thank you all for attending this protest, and I wish all of you the best Friday evening on this beautiful day. We have a lot of waters, so please take them. Please come up and say hi, and don't hesitate to reach out to me in the future. I am here for all of you. Thank you so much. And anyone who didn't have a chance to sign the banner, you can do so now. Please sign it. It's a sign of us all coming together.